Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about something a lot of people thought was fake, and it turns out it's real, the ROG Mjolnir. Zooming in on the image, and it appears it's a portable power station. We've got 4 standard outlets, 2 USB Type-A's and 2 USB Type-C's. I've got no idea what kind of battery is in here. I've got no idea how many watts this thing supports, but I'm assuming we're going to find out pretty soon. Next up, we're talking about possibly the game of the century, Handball 17. And they said it couldn't be done, but apparently it's been done. Denuvo on this game has been cracked. There are a number of reports out there about Denuvo being defeated on this game, and this is one of the comments. We are witnessing history in the making. Handball 17 was released back in 2016 to mixed reviews, and just a few of them. I'm not sure why this game still has Denuvo on it after about 7 years or 7.5 years, give or take, but it does. According to SteamDB, currently there are 0 people playing this game. In the last 24 hours, they had an all-time high of 3 people playing at once. And their all-time high overall was 336 people playing at once, which happened about a year ago. So moving on, and next up we're talking about the Nintendo 3DS and also the Wii U. And right now there's an initiative going on to try to preserve a whole bunch of SpotPass data. It's the last week to do so. It's called the SpotPass Archival Project, and if you wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link in the description below. Now, there's a lot of information on here, including guides and a Discord link to their server in case you wanted to learn more about the community. It's worth pointing out this project is currently scrambling. They've only got until April 8th until everything shuts down and they can't archive anymore. And if for some reason you don't believe me, the discontinuation announcement is right on Nintendo's website. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. They flat out say at 4 p.m. PDT on April 8th, 2024, online play and other functionality that uses online communication will end for Nintendo 3DS and Wii U software. And speaking about preservation and preserving stuff you paid for, next up we're talking about Accursed Farms. And Accursed Farms has just put out a video on YouTube that I'll drop a link to in the description below, and I do recommend checking out. It's called the largest campaign to ever stop publishers destroying games. So in this video, Accursed Farms talks about a whole lot, but addresses one of the biggest problems in modern gaming, and that is digital ownership, or digital licensing, or temporary licensing, or digital renting. Basically, people paying money for a digital game only for that digital game to stop working after an unspecified amount of time. There's also a website that goes along with this called StopKillingGames.com. And they say here, this site is dedicated to real-world action on ending the practice of publishers destroying video games they have sold to customers. This website goes on to say, an increasing number of video games are sold as goods, but designed to be completely unplayable for everyone as soon as support ends. The legality of this practice is untested worldwide, and many governments do not have clear laws regarding these actions. It is our goal to have authorities examine this behavior and hopefully end it, as it is an assault on both consumer rights and preservation of media. I'm hoping this campaign is able to solve something, and let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Next up, we're quickly talking about Hollow Knight Silksong, and we talked about this game the other day when it popped up on the Xbox website. And no, it wasn't put up there by accident, and yes, it seems like a release date may be forthcoming. So someone with a very keen eye over on Reset Era pointed out that this game has been rated in South Korea as of February 20th. So maybe, just maybe, we're going to see Hollow Knight Silksong this year. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, and let me know if you think we're going to see it this year in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Bloodborne Kart, or Nightmare Kart as it's now called. If you remember, a while back there was a fan project combining Bloodborne and Mario Kart, and Sony got word of it and issued a DMCA to change the name and remove the Bloodborne assets, and this team actually did that. So they've rebranded this as Nightmare Kart. They say there's 20 racers, 16 maps. It's legally distinct. full campaign mode with boss fights, and there's a versus battle mode. And arguably the best part about all of this is that it's releasing for free on itch.io and also on Steam at the end of May of this year, May 31st to be specific. Next up, we're quickly talking about some Linux stuff, and the first thing on the docket is Linux kernel 6.7. If you are running this series of kernel, you might want to know that it is at the end of life. And they are suggesting to upgrade to at least 6.8 moving forward. And the second piece of news is about Debian, and if you were expecting Debian 12.6 to be released on April 6th, you're going to have to wait a little bit. They have postponed this release. They're investigating the current vulnerability with xzutils and the impacts on that. I'll drop a link to this news bit in the description below, I guess, and feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about the Steam Deck, and if you're one of the people who snagged one of the limited edition Steam Deck OLEDs, the one with the transparent shell, well, you may want to pay attention to the screws and cracking. There are a number of Reddit users complaining that these shells are cracking around the screws. If I had to guess, I'd say this is a case of over-tightening the screws from the factory, or possibly just a defect in the shell. There was a person with this problem. They contacted Valve, and Valve issued an RMA almost immediately. Now, as far as I know, this is only applicable to the clear Steam Deck OLED. If you've got a solid color case, you should be absolutely fine. I mean, I checked mine and didn't have any issue, and I've opened and closed mine a whole bunch since I bought it. If you've had this cracking issue, let me know in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about WinFellow, an Amiga emulator for Windows, and WinFellow just got a brand new update. At the time of filming, version 0.5.11 is the latest update. We've got a bunch of bug fixes, some maintenance updates, and a very interesting new feature. The default display driver was changed from DirectDraw to Direct3D 11, where supported. Next up, we're talking about an indie game. It's called DOA DX, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Demons of Asterborg DX, depending on how you want to interpret that. This game is currently on Indiegogo, and they say Demons of Asterborg DX is a remake of the infamous original for Game Boy Advance and Neo Geo systems. Taking a look at their Indiegogo, and the physical version of this game on Game Boy Advance is going for $60 US. There's an investor's edition for $108. The Neo Geo MVS regular edition, no surprise here, is much more expensive at $379 USD. And the AES version is even more expensive at $433 USD. Unfortunately, there's going to be no digital edition. For Game Boy Advance, for example, they say the cartridge maximum is 32 megabytes, and they have some technology to exceed that, but it doesn't work with emulators. They say the physical versions of the game will feature specific hardware that will work on all consoles, offering true hardware compatibility. It's worth pointing out that this game is a remake of the game they already released on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. They plan on shipping the GBA version by June 2025 and the Neo Geo version by Christmas 2025. And there is a GBA demo on this itch.io page, and it does work with an emulator. Next up, we're quickly talking about Discord, and Discord has put up a 17-second video on YouTube called Discord Loot Boxes Are Here. And it's received over 1.4 billion views in just 2 days. You, along with a whole bunch of other people, might be wondering, how did this actually happen? And it turns out that Discord kind of viewbotted themselves by accident. Well, it turns out that by opening up Discord, it played the loot box announcement trailer on loop in the background of the in-app toast. So if you've opened up Discord in the last couple of days, chances are you have contributed to this view count. Moving on, and I've got another quick one for you. Atari has announced they've acquired Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. For those who may be unaware, this game released back in 2004, and now Atari has the license for a whole bunch of Rollercoaster Tycoon games. And last up here, we're quickly talking about DREAMM, which is an emulator for a whole bunch of LucasArts games. And DREAMM Beta 3.0 B7 has just dropped. We've got a bunch of bug fixes here and many improvements to GDI support. On top of that, DREAMM 3.0 adds a whole bunch of support for a whole bunch of more games. For example, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, the action game. And also some DOS games here, including Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There's also expansion pack support for games like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, OpenGL support, a whole bunch of front-end UI changes, and a whole bunch more. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.